Hi everyone. In this video series, we're going to look into how do we create web APIs using .NET MVC. The version for .NET I'm using is 8.0, but feel free to use the latest version of .NET. I'm using for IDE, I'm using JetBrains Rider, but feel free to use VS Code or Visual Studio. It should work exactly the same. Now, as we go progress through the course, I'll be discussing some theory along the way. But just to begin with, let's start and create a new project. So I've come in here and clicked the new solution in the rider, and then let's just create a new solution. So I would be creating a bunch of APIs, and the APIs I'll be creating are very specific to real estate project. So I think it's good to just name the solution as real estate. And for the project, since the project is very specific to creating APIs, I'll name this API. Now, for the template, I've selected web APIs, and if you scroll down a bit here in the advanced sections, I would be showing you the controller version of how do we create APIs. There is also another way using minimal APIs, but we're not looking into that. Maybe that could be done in the later part of the videos, but initially I want to cover controllers because they come with fully featured functionality. Okay, I'll just hit create. I left pretty much all of the other details as defaults, and then just give it some time and it will do all the scaffolding and we'll create a new project. Okay, let's go through one by one over these files and try to understand what each of those mean. All right, let's look into some of the file structures. So if I come to the dependencies, you can see uh, there are frameworks and packages. So package is something like which is installed as an external dependency for the project. What do I mean by that? So if I right click and then just inspect the CSproj file, you can see we have an external package, which is also showing up here. But the frameworks, that's something that comes with this project, like baked into this project, whereas this package is sort of an external dependency installed. So the project would still compile and build without this external package, but the framework just baked into the template. Next, let's look into launch settings. Launch settings, these are your profiles. So with default, it comes like multiple profiles, and this is just for you to execute your code on the different profiles. This file is not deployed when you're deploying, and this file is very sort of local to your own local development. We'll talk in detail about the environment variables. You can have like development, UAT, and production, but we'll talk more about that in coming videos. Then we have some configurations. So if I come to app settings.json, so these are some of the configurations. We can read the specific configuration from either a app settings or app settings.development.json, or we can create another file particularly for production. The details as we progress, we'll discuss how do we read contents from this file and things of that sort. Now let's come and have a look at program.cs. That's pretty much the start of the application, and I'd say three main things are happening here. First is we create a web app under the hood in the create builder. Lots of default settings are done, and then here we just registering some services. I'll talk in a minute about what do we mean by registering our services, and then we build an app out of it. So we create a builder and then we add some services to it, and then finally here we configure our middleware pipeline, request pipeline, right? Pretty much these are the three things happening in the program.cs file. um, Now, what is a service? Think of service as a class. Now that class can come up with the .NET itself, or it could be your own class. Either way, any class in ASP.NET terminology is called service. So for example, once you want to register some, uh, so basically services is a collection on which you call some method to register some services. So for example, add controllers is an extension method, very specific to create MVC style APIs, and you can see like just by looking at the signature that this is an extension method, and this specific add controllers help you create web APIs. These two are related to Squashbuckle. We'll discuss them in detail once we look into swaggers and stuff like that. And once you do that, after that, you configure your middleware pipeline basically. Um, we'll discuss what middleware pipeline mean as we progress through the tutorials. And finally, let's talk about some of the controllers. So if I come to the controllers folder, this is our controller. Um, I, I would delete this for now, but because we want to create our own. And then this controller has this DTO attached to it. But if I run this application, I'll just show you. So as you can see, this is all configured because of the Swagger. If I show you in the program.cs, these two extension methods register the services for Swagger, and this is basically a UI to test your APIs and stuff. And then if I try this, you can see I get the response. Um, you can also test your APIs here as well in the browser. If you're not able to get any of it, don't worry about it. We'll cover this in a lot more detail in coming tutorials. So let me just go ahead, pause the application, delete all the things we would be creating ourselves. So let's just delete. Yep, and I'll see you in another video.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.